Hi everybody, Jo here again. How are you doing? I hope you're doing okay, and I hope your Friday started well. Well, that is if it is Friday. It could be Saturday when you're watching this, or even Sunday, or even the middle of the night. But whatever time, day or night, I hope it finds you okay. Must admit, I'm a bit tired today. Yesterday I had one of those days, and I'm sure you've all had them, but I'll talk to you about that as we're going along. The video today are Friday favourite, and as you know, I tend to use that sometimes on a Friday when I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I use the theme of our Friday favourite in our Lavinia groups, and today it's Christmas tag. Well, you know what I mean, I love Christmas tags. And if you don't make tags yourself, a lot of the designs, well, in fact, most of the designs you could make on a card. So really, don't just sort of dismiss it and go, oh, Jo, I don't do tags, because you could pop it on a card or even in your journal. And I've got a variety of tags here. This is one I made at a workshop with that background. And again, I love the fact that we can stamp our stamps in different coloured inks. This is one you'll recognise from one of the videos I've done, where we used the lovely ribbon and stamped with the new inks on the ribbon. And they're just various things. I mean, here I always have a tag on the go, and I really try to do my mopping up. So this has got various different bits of, look at that, decorate the back as well, bits of mopping up. So nice to do that. This is the tag we're going to make today. And the reason I've gone for this one, it's often when I'm creating a tag, I tend to stamp my foliage design coming down from the top. So I thought for a change we'll come in from the side. But I wanted to just pop this one to show you I love adding embellishments. Now these little fir cones I actually collect when I'm walking Eric. I think it's off an elder tree here in the UK. And when it's been windy, one of the areas where I walk him, loads just fall down on the grass. So I pick them up. So as we're going, I end up with a pocket full. And I bring them home and dry them out. And I just think they look lovely on a tag. Little bit of string look, and, you know, jobs are good. And I think that'll just make a lovely... Sometimes I use it for gift bags. Sometimes I use it on presents. But I think you can have really inexpensive wrapping paper. I love just brown paper for wrapping. But then I can put a nice tag and even make another embellishment like this. But to be honest, you wouldn't need it. I think the tag is an embellishment itself. As I say, so today I thought we'd create this one. And I'm starting with one of the Lavinia Stamps, and it's the large tags. I love their tags. They're just watercolour cards, so it makes it easy for me because I'm never sure exactly what I'm going to do. I might want to flick water, and I find them very forgiving. So as we're stamping and catching up, the stamps I'm going to use, I'm going to come in with the Fir Cone Branch. Love this one. Had it for years. Absolutely love it. I'm going to come in with the Mini Winterberry. Again, a favourite on my desk. I must admit, I've been making Christmas cards, and I just used for the tag the stamps I had on my desk. This is from the Starpine, I think it's called. You know me, make them up as I go along. And this one is from the Winter Foliage. And I haven't used this one before, and I thought it just fits the bill. So not a lot of stamps. Inks, I'm coming in with my Pinecone, a little bit of Sand Dune for a light touch, and then I'm going for blue. Now, recently I've done some cards with blueberries and some with red berries, and I asked the boys, so we've got Elliot, who's 8, and Jensen, these grandchildren, who's 6, and I asked them, and they all preferred the blue. I think it pops more. I'm really into blue this Christmas. Don't know why, but there we go. So I'm going to start my stamping with the Pinecone and the Fir Cone Branch. So as I'm stamping, I'll explain. So yesterday, bless him, Eric's gone off his front legs. So we had to have an emergency physio appointment. So that was, Katie could fit him in at 2:15. So that was sorted. Then, now this I need to come from this central point here. So then the boys, Adam went off to work early so that he could be back for the school run, because I couldn't, because I had Eric at physio. So he goes off early, drops the boys off. Danielle had gone off to work, dropped the boys off at 6:30, so gave them breakfast, took them to school, got back probably about 9:10, and by 9:30 my mobile went saying Jensen was really poorly. And they actually said to me, Jensen's really poorly, you need to come and pick him up. He looks absolutely dreadful, he's really ill, he's really sick. And I said, oh my goodness, I don't believe that, because I've literally just walked him to school. He woofed his breakfast down. And they said, no, you need to come and pick him up. So Danielle works as a nursery nurse, so she couldn't get to her phone. They'd tried her. Adam was in a lab servicing a machine, so he couldn't answer his phone. So anyway, Grandma goes off to school to pick him up. And sure enough, he comes wandering out with a vomit bowl, which being a radiographer at a hospital, you know, I all know when they don't get used, they make fabulous hats at Christmas. Anyway, so I said, oh, has he actually been sick? No, he just feels sick. He's got tummy ache. And he was smiling and winked at me. And I went, oh. I just said to him, did you fancy a day with Grandma? I just said, I got tummy ache, Grandma. I said, yes, well, here we go. Anyway, so I had to sign him out and brought him back. And on my way to pick him up, I'd bought some extra snacks for lunch. Oh, look at that. Schoolboy error. We'll have to get rid of that, won't we? Bit of ink off me. This is why I have to have clean hands, look. We'll put that there. So picked him up, brought him back. He saw the snacks and straight away wanted some snacks. I gave him 5 mils of Calpol because obviously, you know, believing he was really poorly. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it was just a day with Grandma. And he ended up making Christmas cards for his friends at school. And we watched a film. So, what can I say? So, all the things I was going to do, we'll get rid of that ink. Look, Sandy Razor. Lavinia sells Sandy Razors. This is fabulous. So, if you get a little inky smudge like that. Yeah, so that's what we did. And he ate his snacks and he ate his lunch. And, oh, yes, I made a cottage pie for tea and that he wolfed that down. So, he's gone into school today. Let's hope I don't get a phone call again today. But we had a lovely day. It just meant I didn't get a thing done. But there we go. These things happen, don't they? Right, so we've stamped that design. Got some lovely berries to colour in. And then I'm going to come in with sand dune. But I'm sure any of you out there who've got grandchildren, you know, you're sort of partly thinking, oh, I've got lots to do. But part of you're thinking, oh, bless, just wants to spend time with me. So, again, if you remember, I'm just inking up in the corner, look, because I don't really want, I mean, you can ink up and then wipe the ink off that stem, but I don't really want that stem. I just want these lovely actual fronds there. And with it being a lovely lighter colour, they just go into the background. But I think without them, I mean, the difference they make to the finished card design. Look at that. You see how it just fills that space? Now, I'm actually just going to put a bit of a one there. And then I think we'll just have a bit of a one there. Look, just to complement that and make it look like it's that lovely design. Now, there, look, if you notice, I'm going to point it out. The branch is there and it doesn't quite match. But I can stamp one of my lovely other little branches over that. So I'm not worried about that at all. So I've got that basic design. Now, before I add my blue stamping, I'm going to come in and add some ink in the background. I'm going to just give this a good blot. And I just want to bring some Della blue. And I just want to bring this into the background. So again, blending in that lid. And what I'm going to do is turn it round and I'm going to start here. This is my focal point, as it were. So if I start, now this is a new ink pad, so it's very juicy. So I'm just going to tickle. If I start here and then move my way round, and I've gone for blue because obviously it'll go over the berries, but I'm going to colour them blue anyway. So, and I just want the colour really behind where we've stamped. I mean, you can colour the whole tag if you wish. I And you can leave it without background colour. But when I've done this in the past, I've sort of experimented and added background colour to one and left it off another. And for me, I just think it shows up better with that background colour. But you might want to do a variety. And I'm just going to come in and add a bit stronger colour there. You see how now you focus on that bit? Right, we'll pop the lid on. Get rid of that. And then, oh, let's just mop that up. Try and keep it as clean as we can. So, are any of you out there, grandparents, have you ever had this happen? And I wouldn't mind when I had to sign him out at school, I did say to them, what shall I put on the form? Play day with grandma. And they said, oh no, you need to put illness. So now I'm going to come in with this little bit. And this is lovely. Sometimes I love these little stamps, but they're so useful. And they're often the ones that you find you almost can't live without. Now I've gone for Bluebell. I did wonder, but I thought I just want something nice and bright. So again, I'm just going to ink this up and just try and miss the longer bit of the stem. And I'm just going to stamp it. Just various places. Just to bring in a little bit more of that colour. Look, can you see already how it's building up? And it looks nice just stamping it off the page. And some areas, look, I just want a couple. No, I think I'll go from that there. And again, you will take your time and just build up the design. Now let's have one down here, maybe just one there. Right, let's turn it round and have a look. Yes, I think that's pretty even. Now, I don't like that there because that's just... So what I'm going to do is a bit of the stem showing. So I'm just going to get rid of the ink off that look. And where there's the stem, just put the end of a little bit. And then that just fills. That's me being very picky, but I'm sure you're the same. When you do things, you want them to look just so. Now, to colour this, now I know I've got a mark there. And what I'm going to do is that's where I'm going to stamp my Noel. So again, if you have, it's just a large mark that, a bit too large. So I'm thinking, let's come in and put a sentiment there. And I love these. I love the old-fashioned font. So let's see if we can put the, I'm going for the L, right on top of that. Yeah, and I'm happy with that because it flows nicely. So what little mark, hey? Now, to colour, I'm just going to start, and I've got one of my Mondeluz pencils, and I'm just going to add with the brown, and I'm going to come in and add a little bit on the fir cones. Now, again, if you remember, what I tend to do is only colour the base of the fir cone where I'm not going to add any snow, so that when I add the snow, I'm just adding it almost on the white or the cream card. Because I really don't see the point of colouring in and then putting white pen over the top. Is that mean of me? I mean, I think this way it saves time, and pencil, you know, I've bought these pencils. I want them to last. Now, I could use pencil on the berries, but I've got quite a lot of the large nibbed Poscas. So I thought I'd come in, and one of these is blue, literally just blue. So give it a shake. But it's a large nib, it's a bullet shaped, and it's a PC5. So look, it's larger. And what worries me is, look, I don't want to go over the edges. So what I discovered is if I roughly paint it in and then come in with my blue, and I know you're going to ask me, this is the blue Wink of Stella. Why didn't I do it all in Wink of Stella? My Wink of Stella's running out a bit. And again, I'm a bit thrifty and I don't want the whole thing. I quite like the matte. If I show you the Posca, it dries quite matte and I like that. I don't particularly want a lot of sparkle on this. but I just want to get to those edges, and I'm worried with it being such a big, I think it would be really faffing to be careful, and I don't want to go over the edge, and especially when I want speedy tags. So my answer is just to fill in those edge bits with my Wink of Stella. Now I dare say if you had a paintbrush you could blend it out. If you had a smaller, well obviously if you had a smaller Posca you'd just take your time and do it. But I've got so many of these larger nibs I don't like. I don't know about you, I don't like having things I don't use. You know, if I've bought something, I need to use it and just find a way that I can use it. Just want a bit more there. You know, I think when we've spent our hard-earned money on things, they've got to work. Right, so we'll give that a quick whiz with the heat tool just to speed it along drying. And then I'm going to come in. So we've got our two types of almost like acrylic paint pens here. So I've got my Posca one, which I use for the snow, and I've got this Mangaka opaque, and this is by Zig. Now, in my opinion, I did try using this for snow, but the nib comes out because it's not designed to be hit really. So, but it is a gorgeous white pen. So when it comes to highlights, I've found it's really good for the highlights look. So what I tend, and often it's only trial and error when you're doing things. So for me, the Posca is best for the snow and the gentle tapping. And this Mangaka look, it is fabulous for, it's a really good white. And especially on these fir cones, it really shows up well. I mean, if you wanted, I've even added bits, you know, like if I want it to look like there's a bit of snow on the end of a branch, but also for highlights on the berries, look. And these aren't quite dry, and it would show up even more if they were properly dry. But look at that. It's a lovely, definite white. So my suggestion would be you white highlights with that, and then we'll get rid of that. We'll come in again, give this a good shake, and then some gentle. And again, if ever your Posca doesn't show up white, it might be that underneath is still wet. So, and it will absorb that Posca into it, and it tends not to show up white. It goes a bit see-through. So either wait a while before adding your Posca, or do like I did and just run your heat tool over it. And that's all you need to do. Dry it off a bit and your Posca will show up whiter. I always think it's all these little hints and tips, you know, when we're crafting together. I love it when I have friends round and we craft together, and the things we chat about, but also the little hints and tips that you think, oh, I haven't been doing that. Oh, thank you, I'll do that. But look at that, there's something about the blue. Now, I'm not adding any glitter to this, but you could. So what I tend to do is leave it now, and then depending who I'm going to send it to, whether they like glitter or not, I could add some stickles. So I'll add some, I've got some craft yarn here. So we'll pop this through. Let's get, how many pieces have we got? 4. Right, that. And again, these are just from various, I have mine all in one big bag, so I can just choose the colours. I've got various bundles. And if ever you get stuck doing this, don't forget you can use a piece of elastic or a piece of thread, which I've used on various occasions just to pull it through. But I think we're okay with this today. There we go. Now, again, glossy accents would be lovely on these, on the berries. That would be another lovely thing to do. If you've got your glossy accents, maybe pop that on the berries. But there we go. So that's, I'm happy with that because I've made another couple of tags and we got rid of those, you know, what finger marks down there and what ink. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm hoping I can go and have a coffee now and we don't get another phone call from school. Although he did say he enjoyed his day that much. Hey, what we like. So, I hope you've got a lovely weekend planned. What are you doing? Anything nice? Are you writing Christmas cards? Are you still making Christmas cards? Are you catching up with friends? Or are you just going to relax? Maybe a nice coffee and a good book? Just write a comment. Let us know what you're getting up to. Because, you know, not only are you catching up with me, but you're catching up with other friends and followers off the channel. And it is nice. Recently, I've had a few ladies message and say they've not commented before, but they feel now they can. And it's lovely if ever you see a comment and you feel like you want to connect with that person or answer, by all means do. It's lovely just when crafters can get together. You know, doing workshops and having a little workshop group, I've seen so many friendships form, and it is lovely, and like-minded people get together. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again on Monday. Lots of love and hugs from me, and some extra hugs from Eric. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.